Okay, guys, so this is our introduction to order of operations. And if you notice at the bottom, I have the word GEMDOS. Okay, so before we used to call it PEMDOS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But as we start to do more difficult math, we have to consider grouping signs instead of just the P for parentheses in PEMDOS. Okay? All right, so here we have order of operations. And in this pizza slice, we have all the operations that we need. We have our grouping signs, okay? The G stands for parentheses, there are brackets, and then there's absolute value, okay? And this is exactly the first step that we take. We do everything inside of the brackets or parentheses or absolute value first. Those are our groups. Then we look for exponents, okay? After that, we look for multiply or divide or add and subtract. And I put these multiply and divide or add and subtract in red because it doesn't matter which one comes first. You just go from left to right. It's like you're reading a sentence. So when we're looking at this, if you notice inside of the brackets, they looked and they went to exponents first, okay? They did 3 squared and they got 9. Then they brought down everything else that they didn't use. Then they did 4 times 3 and they got 12. Now you still have your bracket, so they're still working inside of that bracket. 9 plus 12 gives us 21. Now we're outside of the bracket. You still bring down everything else that you didn't use. Multiply 4 times 6 to get 24. Bring down your 21. And then you do 24 minus 21 to get 3. Okay, and this is what we're going to be working on today. Okay, so why do we need GEMDOS? Like, what is it? So GEMDOS is a rule that tells us the order to solve math problems with different operations. It stands for grouping, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. GEMDOS helps us to get the right answer when we have lots of operations in a math problem. So there are steps that we take, and GEMDOS is what we're going to use for those operations. Okay. All right. So let's actually put GEMDOS to work. The one thing that I enjoy the most is making sure that I write down the G, E, M, D, A, S. This helps me with my order. So as I'm working through problems, okay, this helps me quite a bit. Okay, so my first step, where do we start? Okay, if you said parentheses, you're absolutely correct. Okay, we start inside of the parentheses first. Okay, 1 plus 4, I know that it is 5. And then I'm going to bring down everything else that I did not use. Okay, so I take the G away. I ask myself, do I see exponents? 75 minus 10 times 5. No exponents. Do I see multiplication? Absolutely. So that's where I start. So here I do 10 times 5. I know that 10 times 5 is 50. And then I bring down everything else. Okay, 75 minus 50 is the last thing I have to do. I don't have division or addition. So now I'm just going to say 75 minus 50, that is 25. Okay, ooh, and if you look at the bottom, it says, let's check our work using Desmos. Okay, so I'm going to do 75 minus 10 times, and I'm going to use my parentheses, 1 plus 4. Okay, and I do get 25, so it looks like we did that problem correct. Okay, so you always want to check. Okay, next, let's practice again. So we're going to use our same steps again. G, E, M, D, A, and S. All right, here we go. So this says 1 plus 14 squared minus parentheses 11 minus 8. So the first question that I ask myself is, do I have groups? I do see groups. I see parentheses, and I see 11 minus 8 inside of there. So I know that 11 minus 8 is 3. And now I'm going to bring down everything else that I didn't use. Okay, now do I see exponents? I do see an exponent, and I did see 14 squared, so I know that 14 squared is 196 minus 3, and then I'm going to bring down my plus 1. So now I've done my exponent. I don't see multiplication, I don't see division, but I do see addition and subtraction. So because I'm going from left to right, addition comes first. So I know that I need to do 1 plus 196, which is 197 minus 3. I know that 197 minus 3 gives me 194. Okay, so I do want to double check my work. Okay, and in order to do that, I am going to type this into Desmos just to check. So I'm going to type in 1 plus 14 squared, okay, minus, and I'm going to use my parentheses, 11 minus 8. Right? I got 194. So it looks like we did a really good job with that. All right, let's get ready to practice.